Good morning, Ultimate Hustlers, Digital Empire Builders. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show. And today we're talking strategic business growth with Gordon Van Wechel. It is about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a huge favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand. And when I tell you, you do not want to miss this morning's episode, that's exactly what I mean. If you are a business owner, aspiring business owner, and you're looking to grow, you're looking to scale, you're looking for strategies, you're looking to plan, plot, and get your business to the next level, now is the greatest time to do it because we're about to enter the biggest spending season of the year. And you want to have a plan to capitalize on how to make the most of this time. And we're going to help you do that today. So do me a favor. Again, comment where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, and let's kick it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Bob Crane Financial and Tax Planning Services Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have a good tax planner in your life, then you are slipping on your pimping. There's a difference between tax planning and tax preparation. Most people only see their tax preparer once a year, but you should see your tax planner at least once a month. We spend money every day, every week. And guess what? Every dollar we spend is taxed. So you need someone helping you plan so that you can keep more of your money in your pocket and keep Uncle Sam's hands out of it. So click on the link in the description in the show notes to connect with Bob Crane and his firm. You do not want to miss that. Also, for you small business owners out there, if you don't have someone helping you hide all those profits and invest them so they can grow for you in their future, that is also one of Bob's specialties. Today, we're talking strategic business growth with Gordon Van Wechel. I can't wait for you guys to hear from this guest today, but you know how we do it. I got a couple quick announcements for you guys. We have Digital Marketing Decoded going down this Sunday. Yes, in 2 days. If you're in the St. Louis metro area, you want to be in the building. We're going to be talking all about how you can leverage digital marketing to explode your online presence just in time for the holidays. How do you maximize on lead generation during this time of the year? How do you get the maximum exposure on small micro screens, right? We know that the movies are the big screens, the TVs are the small screens, but then there's this micro screen where all the attention is going. And if you are not on these micro screens as your business, and you don't have representation there, chances are you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And we're going to share with you some basic hacks that you could leverage to get you more exposure via the internet and social media. Also, for those of you who have been interested in Monetize My Life Academy, the premier digital marketing mastermind for solopreneurs and small businesses, you will no longer be able to try us out for $1 at the end of the month. So October 31st is the last day that you can test drive our mastermind for just $1. So you want to go and get enrolled at monetizemylifeacademy.com while the $1 special is going on. And also, I'm looking for sponsors for a brand new show that is coming to Roku and Apple TV very soon. So if you want to continue to partner with me, then all you got to do is comment sponsor, and I will connect you with the right folks so you can learn how you can be part of this new endeavor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know here on the Cortez Hustle Show, it's all about entrepreneurship. It's all about the hustle. It's all about the grind. It's all about bringing practical, proven strategies to help you grow your businesses in a way that will not stress you out, but at the same time, maximize your efforts. And I have someone on today's show who's going to be able to help us all do just that. 17 years in the game, helping small businesses plan, strategize to the tune of millions in revenue added. I'm going to introduce to some of you guys and present to others my good friend, Mr. Gordon Van Wechel. Top of the morning to you, Gordon. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, Cortez. Good to be here.
Awesome. Super glad to have you here as well. We are going to definitely get into your story and all things Gordon Van Wechel. But before we do that, I like to start the show with what I call the quote of the day. Every morning, I wouldn't say every morning, 3 out of 5 mornings, I am at least working out, and I like to put on some positive motivational stuff in my ear. And something always punches me in the gut. So I take that quote and I share it with the audience. And today's quote is from Tony Robbins. So what I like to do is I'll give you this quote. If you have a favorite quote, then you can share yours or you can expound on this one. But today's quote is from Tony Robbins. He says, "Our lives are defined by our rituals," right? Our lives are defined by our rituals. And when I heard that this morning, Gordon, I immediately started to think about, what are my rituals, right? What are the things that not only did I intentionally do, but it also made me start thinking about what are my default actions and responses based on certain events that happen in my life? And are those default actions and responses serving me to the degree that I want? Are they pushing me towards my goals or away from my goals? Are they pushing me towards happiness or more stress in my life? So that is my quote. You can expound on that one. If you have a favorite quote that you would like to share, then have at it, my friend.
You know, I'll do both, Cortez. I think that's a great quote for business owners because we do need those set rituals, those patterns of management, patterns of organization to keep us focused. I'll give you one of mine. Every Sunday evening, and I've done this for years, I'll sit down and identify what are the 3 major things that need to be accomplished in the coming week and make sure I've blocked out time in my schedule for that week around appointments and client meetings and all the other things that we do as business owners, but block out time to make sure I'm focusing on those 3 so that next Sunday I'm not writing them on my list again. The other thing is having an early morning ritual. Most of us need to be able to coordinate what we do at the start of the day just to make sure our day gets off to the right start. And especially if you're new in business or if you've got kids at home and you're just starting out, that's tough to do. I found I had to start getting up an hour before the rest of the family to be able to get that time in just to make sure I was focused on the day. So yeah, I completely agree with him. But let me throw one of my favorite authors' quotes at you, Dan Kennedy. A lot of your listeners are probably familiar with him, a brilliant copywriter. If you were watching infomercials 15 or 20 years ago, he wrote the script for most of them. But one of the things he was fond of saying is, if everybody is your customer, then nobody is your customer.
Yeah.
And I think that's especially appropriate for those of us that are newer in business. We get excited about our product or service and we think, wow, everybody could use this. And in some cases, that's true. But the reality is, unless we have the ad budget of Pepsi-Cola, we're not going to be able to tell everybody about it.
That's right.
So we need to focus on who we can legitimately target with the resources we have. And one of Kennedy's follow-up quotes was, "The riches are in the niches." And what he was saying in that is we really need to focus on identifying an ideal customer and then narrow that down so that we're targeting specific niches as we begin to grow our business. And obviously we can expand that as we continue to grow.
Love it, love it, love it. It is the ultimate ripple effect that people don't realize. If I start with a niche,
Yes.
then, and if I serve them well, they're going to tell other people who are outside of my niche about how well I am in business. And now I start to grow and bring in those revenues and those resources that I can then use to start targeting another demographic. I love that.
Absolutely true.
I've heard about Dan Kennedy a lot and a lot of his most recent work, but I never knew that he was the copywriter for a lot of the early infomercials, because I was that guy, man. I probably bought, I've been an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur almost all of my adult life. I think I bought my first course from Don LaPierre or somebody when I was 18 or 19 years old, right? And Carlton Sheets programs and all of these different infomercials that would come on. I was like, man, somebody's going to help me make some money, Gordon. And I was sold on a lot of that stuff. And I had no idea Dan Kennedy was behind the scripts for a lot of those things. So that's amazing. So real quick, that is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Again, brought to you by my good friend, Bob Crane. If you need tax planning in your life, if you need financial planning in your life, and you want to connect with Bob Crane, his link is in my description. He's got a ton of free financial literacy resources right there on his website, guys. They're going to help you get your mind wrapped around money, the beliefs about money. The number one wealth building tool in the world, I believe, is the U.S. tax code and how to leverage that. So go check out Bob's website, and you can book a free call with him over there as well. 1 minute, quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. So Gordon, my friend, I ask everybody who comes on the Cortez Hustle Show this one question. Who the heck are you?
Well, I'm the picture that you see in the dictionary next to serial entrepreneur. Started out very traditional, went to college, went to grad school, took a job with a big national company. That lasted 3 years. And I got fired, not because, I lost money for the company, but mostly because I wasn't a very good politician. I tended to speak my mind when I was in meetings with older and presumably wiser managers. And ultimately, my boss said, look, we just can't have you around anymore. See ya. And so here I am in my mid-20s. This whole career path that I thought I had defined was now evaporated. So I remember having a conversation with myself where I said, I will never, ever, ever be susceptible to somebody else's political whims to control my life. And started looking around, met a couple of guys who were launching a new restaurant business. I had a lot of experience analyzing operations. So I came in as the operations partner in that organization. We built a chain of restaurants and sold it to one of the big national companies.
Nice.
Then one of my partners in that business was from Denver. He called me, he said, hey, I found a computer software company. I think we ought to buy into it. And I laughed. I said, Tom, you and I know nothing about computer software. He goes, it doesn't matter. They know nothing about how to grow a company. So we did it, built that company, built a national dealer network, and sold it to one of the big software companies. Then I built a mortgage company, and again, sold that. Now, those are the successes, Cortez. As any honest entrepreneur will tell you, there aren't always successes. There were several dismal failures that I presided over. sometime if we have an opportunity to have a beer together, I'll tell you about my adventures in the mining business in Nevada.
Oh, wow.
Which cost me a whole lot of money and time. But, I sold the mortgage company in 2001, was looking around for the next adventure, and met a couple of guys who were trying to build a national ad agency network. And I really liked their approach because it was a lot of the things I had done to grow my previous companies. So I affiliated with them, and literally 6 months later, Cortez, they split the sheets and the company collapsed. But I really liked what we were doing and recognized that there was a market for smaller businesses who couldn't afford to stroke a $12,000 or $15,000 check every month to some big ad agency and hope that they got results. The people starting business really needed a direct results marketing agency that could help them do that. So that's been the focus of our company since 2003, is working with startups, working with smaller companies. I think the biggest company we've ever worked with was doing $7 million a month. And when they started with us, they were $7 million a year, and when they started with us, they were doing $2 million. So we work with a lot of smaller companies. And our philosophy is there's multiple marketing channels out there. Let's define what's going to give you the best result immediately. And then as your business grows, you can invest more in marketing services, new marketing channels, and just continue that growth. And we've been very successful at working with companies with that basic premise in mind.
I love that. I love that. And that's one of the things that when you think about all of these different social networks and things of that nature, everybody wants to dominate them all. It's like, no, you can't dominate them all. Just pick one that lends to your strengths, that lends to you being the most consistent on it, and then start there, and you can add all of these things to it. You said a couple key things that I want to come back to. You talked about politics in the office, and one of the things that we don't traditionally think about as a Black man in America, and we kind of see sometimes political things in corporate, like, man, I don't know if I can handle this. This is the first time of me hearing that from a white man saying, you know what, I can't deal with the politics around here either. So I got to figure my thing out on my own. So when you say politics in corporate, from your perspective, how does that affect a young, growing, aspiring, educated, ambitious young man in a way that makes you say, okay, phooey, I'm just going to have to go do my own thing?
Yeah, man or woman, I think that in many cases that corporate world really leaches out whatever enthusiasm you have. We start a career thinking that we're really going to make a difference, that we're going to provide value. And oftentimes we run into people who might be 20 years older, which was my case, who have settled into a routine that's very comfortable, and they don't want some, young person coming in and trying to shake up the tree a little bit. So I think it's very difficult for someone who has the enthusiasm and maybe the interest in the back of their mind that they might have their own business someday. I think it's really difficult to survive in the corporate world long term. Plus, today's corporate world has changed so much. When I started, we didn't really have cubicles. Now everybody lives in a cubicle in a big bullpen, and boy, that just sucks the life out of you. So I think it's difficult to maintain that enthusiasm, and I think the politics are there regardless of race or gender. I think we're all susceptible to that, particularly if we have some ambition and, want to do more for ourselves and our families over the course of our business career.
Love it. Yeah. And I think that is true. And sometimes we just can't see it as, I think we all have the mentality that this is only for a season, right? Well, let me just stick it out for 6 months, because that's what they often say. It's like, well, you're going to get your shot. Just hang in there, toe the line, and your time is coming. It's like, no, my time is now. And if you can't see it, then I'm going to go figure something else out. You also talked about your journey, and I love the use of this word, adventure. I think if more entrepreneurs saw it through that lens, if they can get away from revenue and money, and I'm going to be rich and that kind of thing, and realize that entrepreneurship is an adventure, and it's the hero's journey, and it's actually more about the individual entrepreneur, your growth and the things that you're going to react to and respond to, and the impact and all of those kinds of things. Can you talk a little bit more about that from that lens? Like, it is an adventure and why it should be embraced, including the failures.
If a person's going to make the choice to get away from the comfort of, corporate America, and corporate America can be pretty comfortable. You can be mediocre and keep your job for a long time. But if you're going to get away from that, understand that there are serious ups and downs. I can remember a couple of times, in two of my businesses, where I'd go to bed Wednesday night knowing we had a payroll due on Friday, and I didn't have enough money in the bank to cover it. How are we going to do that? We had a situation when we were starting our restaurant company where we were remodeling an existing building, and we ran out of our construction line of credit and couldn't get the inspections finished. We needed money, and we didn't even have the toilets installed in the restrooms yet. And we told all of the staff that we had hired to call 4 or 5 of their friends and invite them over. We were going to have a secret open bar that night, reduced price cocktails, and we raised enough money that night to get the toilets installed, to get the inspector in the next day, and we were able to open the following week. So, those are the kinds of tension and anxiety producing things that you have to go through a lot of times as an entrepreneur. But the payoff at the other side, when you put something together and you're bringing people into your world and you're helping them develop, and you're providing a way for them to take care of their families, and you begin to grow some status in the community and meet other business owners. I mean, those are the payoffs that don't seem tangible when you're starting a business, but they really come as you struggle and build that. And the truth is, anyone who has built a company has gone through those struggles. I suppose if you inherit a whole bunch of money and you can afford to lose a lot while you're building your business, but for those of us that didn't get born with that silver spoon that they talk about, when you're building it on your own, you go through some tough times. And that's really the adventure part of it. And sometimes circumstances work against you and you fail. The key, I think, for a young entrepreneur is to recognize when you might have mistimed the market or mistimed your ability to sustain and fulfill in that market, and you cut your losses quickly. It's kind of like if you were to go to Vegas and sit at one of the tables. If you're on a bad streak, you want to get up and walk away, not just keep pouring money into it.
Gotcha. Man,
and it's the same in business.
I love that. And then that part of the adventure, right? Everything is figure outable, right? Yeah. When you have the right attitude. And like you said, you were in positions where back against the wall. And I like to say sometimes you don't know who you are until your back is against that wall. Yeah. And that helps define your character. So I love that. Well, we had a point in the show, Gordon, where we do something called 1 minute motivation. And I'm a huge proponent of personal growth and self-development in a positive direction. But what many people don't realize, Gordon, is everything that we consume contributes to our personal growth and self-development.
Absolutely.
The question is, are you growing in the right direction, right? Are you intentional about it? So I try to be intentional, and I try to bring some of that to every show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away to a 1 minute clip of a motivational speech. And if you can just jot down a takeaway or two, share your thoughts, and I'm going to share a couple of my thoughts as well. So let's get into 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
Muhammad Ali said, "The man who has no imagination has no wings." If you can't envision it, if you can't believe it, you will never see it. You will never be it. You see, if you want to live an average life, that is fine. Keep your feet on the ground. But if you want to soar, if you want to achieve great things, you must not only think those crazy thoughts, but feel it. Feel what it would feel like to be doing that thing you want to do. Feel what it feels like to have all the things you want, to be the person that has achieved the things you want to achieve.
The very process of you feeling like you already have it will send vibrational signals to your brain. And if you are willing to work for it, it will be in your life very soon. Albert Einstein once said, "Your imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Only those who believe anything is possible can achieve the things most would consider impossible."
You must know who you are going to be before you become that person. You must picture what you want to achieve and feel like you already have it before you can bring it into your reality.
Hoo-wee. That gets me fired up, Gordon. I don't know about you.
That's powerful.
So one of the things that I love about this is that we all just listened to the same clip, but we all heard something different. So what did you hear, my friend?
The importance of visualization for a business owner. We start a business with kind of an immediate short-term goal, but I think it's important for us to really be able to think medium and long-term. Oftentimes when we sit down with our clients, we're asking them, okay, here's your business today. Where's it going to be in a year? Where's it going to be in 3 years? But that visualization has to be about a lot more than just your business. Where's your family? Where's your health? Where's your spiritual development? We're not just one channel individuals. We were created to do a lot of different things and to be a lot of different things. So that visualization process really needs to cover all aspects of our life, not just our business.
Yeah. And that's what I heard. I don't know how many times they said the word imagination. Imagination. And I remember, sometimes as kids, we have adults who've forgotten how to imagine, and they will literally tell you to stop dreaming, stop imagining, and stop daydreaming. No, you need to start daydreaming, Miss Teacher Ma'am, Mr. Teacher Sir, because you're falling into a rut. I think you got to know who you're going to be before you become that being, that person, and having that picture of where you're going as the individual. Like I said, entrepreneurship is all about the individual. As much as we obsess over our customers and our customer avatar and that kind of stuff, it's a lot of internal stuff that goes on as we are growing a company. We are growing ourselves as individuals as well. And it's easier to make that growth happen when you have a picture of what you want to be. And I see myself as the Robert Smiths and the Bezos of the world, ultimately in business, not because of their money and that fame, but more because of what that has afforded them, and that is their ability to impact the world on a global scale that we have never seen before. And I was like, I can grow into that person to create something, a product, a service, a piece of a product or service, an integral cog in a bigger wheel that has that kind of impact on the world. And that's what I see for myself. So now it's easier for me to go down and accept the assignments that's going to help shape and mold and develop and grow me into that. So you got to see it first. Right?
Yeah. One more thing I would add to that. It's not enough just to have a vision. You've got to write that down. Mm-hmm. And write that vision for each of the aspects of your life, and then refer to it at least quarterly. We all sit down at the first of the year and set these auspicious goals of things we're going to accomplish for the year. But oftentimes we look at them and think about them again along about September and realize we're nowhere near accomplishing any of them. And that's why the fourth quarter is always such a big hustle for everybody.
Yeah.
But if we write that down and we look at it at least quarterly and preferably monthly, that'll keep us on track. It'll also remind us that there's more to life than just business. I wish I had been to more of my kids' soccer games when they were at home, but you get tunnel focused. So I think not only having that vision, but writing it down and referring to it on a regular basis is critical.
Love it. Well, you heard it here first, man. This has been 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Gordon Van Wechel version, brought to you by Monetize My Life Academy. Listen, if you are in business and you are by yourself, you don't have to be. Monetize My Life Academy is the premier digital marketing mastermind, and we get together once or twice a month and we talk about best practices, the things that are working in our businesses, the tools, the resources, the references, the influencers, the coaches, the mentors that we should be following, all of those different things. We're building a community of entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs and by entrepreneurs to help us all grow and develop and leverage this wonder-filled tool that we have at our disposal called the internet and all of the applications that live on top of it to make business not necessarily easier, but simpler. And how do you leverage these tools and make them all work? And for the rest of the month, you can join Monetize My Life Academy for just $1, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a test run for the first 30 days. If you like it, it's just $47 a month to keep hanging out with us every single month. You get tons of courses, you get tons of coaching, you get tons of resources built in. We give you social media content every month for 30 days. We're just helping you leverage these tools to make a bigger impact and grow your business and or your brand. MonetizeMyLifeAcademy.com. So we've already had a huge meal as an appetizer, Gordon, because you dropped some real truth bombs on us. But I want to really get into some strategies. We got a lot of business owners watching. I see my man, attorney Clifton Thomas on. He's in the digital marketing space, helping attorneys leverage these tools and that kind of thing, man. So that's an amazing thing, understanding the power of niching down. And let's talk a little bit about some practical basics for entrepreneurs who are closer to the beginning of their journey than anything else, whether they are just thinking about an idea, maybe they've launched, maybe they got a website up, or maybe they got their first product or decided to push. What are some basics that they need to get under them so that they have a solid foundation to build on going forward?
Let's talk about strategic marketing versus tactical marketing. And let me define those. Strategic marketing is what you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. What you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. Tactical marketing is where you say it. And the reason that's an important distinction, particularly for young business owners, is so often we jump immediately to the tactical. And we usually do that as a result of some sort of urgency. We've got to get something out on social media. Or, the newspaper guy's coming in and he wants an ad, and that's a good place for us to advertise. Or something happens so that we stop what we're doing and we jump on some sort of tactical thing. What's more important is to focus our time as business owners on the strategic side and figure out exactly what that message should be, who we're going to say it to, and then how we're going to say it. Once we have that plan defined, the tactical, the where we say it, is very, very easy to figure out. And again, it comes back to what we talked about at the top of the show, understanding your niche, understanding who your ideal customer avatar is, and then where do they get their information? It's easy to say today that, if I have a website, people will find me. Well, the reality is they won't. You have to do other things to drive traffic to that website. And even after they're there, Google tells us that 96% of the time they're going to leave your website without taking any action. So you have to have a strategic plan in place for how you're going to continue to present your company brand to that ideal target market, and not just focus on the tactical. If all you focus on is the tactical, you're going to spend a lot of money where you don't need it to be. I'll give you a perfect example. We have a manufacturing client we're working with. Successful company, been around for a long time, wants to grow so that he can position his company to sell. And somebody told him he needs to be on TV. So he spent all this money on television, tells us about it after the fact. I said, well, great. Who's your customer? And we defined that customer again. I said, why are you reaching them on television? Television is a way to generate leads. You have a defined marketplace. You don't need to go generate leads. Wasted money.
Yeah.
So strategic versus tactical is really an important distinction for business owners to understand.
I love that, that whole approach. Give us one example, though, of, what to say, right? Developing, how would you help someone develop or craft that message? How to say it, right? Based on the industry or niche. And then we already know the who, right?
Yeah.
I've been really geeking out, as Russell Brunson would say, on a lot of his stuff lately.
Yeah.
And it's becoming clear to me in my own personal business that I have not obsessed enough over my customer, my ideal, to really get into their mind, to understand where they are, what they're going through, and that kind of stuff. So give me some examples of what to say in the ideal world and what wouldn't be effective to say, or how to say it.
I think the basis for what we say and how we say it is a simple quote. If you want to know what John Smith buys, you have to see the world through John Smith's eyes.
Mm.
Most of the time as business owners, we're really excited about the features of the product or service that we've developed. And we think they're wonderful. We think that they're applicable to a lot of different people. But maybe we haven't really focused on what are the benefits for that ideal customer. And when we start to really understand the benefits, then we can focus our ad copywriting, the strategic ways that we put together our marketing, the channels that we go to. We can focus it on where that ideal customer gets their information. Here's a place where I see a mistake oftentimes, and that's with the website. If you go to most websites, whether they're selling a product or a service, it's going to have, here's our company name, here's our slogan, here's a few pictures of our team, here's all the wonderful things that we think we offer, and then there's going to be a bunch of platitudes. We've been in business for 7 years. We take MasterCard and Visa. Our people wear clean uniforms every day. Stuff that has absolutely zero meaning to a customer. What the customer's interested in is what's the benefit to them if they continue to spend time on your website, if they continue to engage with any of your marketing channels. And by doing that correctly, by putting a really solid value proposition right at the top of your advertising pieces, then you're going to induce the prospect to engage with you a little bit more and have a better opportunity to convert them to a customer.
Yeah, I love that. So conveying the benefits more than the feature, right? The feeling words, right? Use a lot of the feeling words. This is going to make you feel this way if you use this service. Not because my academy is going to give you 30 days worth of content for your social media. You're going to feel the impact of having your ideal customer engaging with you, and that's going to give you what you want long term, right? Speaking to the benefits more than the features, and really speaking actually to the customer and making it all about them and less about you, right? That's what I'm learning right now. Is everything that I've done to this point, Gordon, has always been about me and the wonderful things that I can do, and nothing about that customer, where they are on their journey, what they're going through, what they need, what they're trying to get accomplished. I haven't communicated any of that stuff in the past. And I know that is a huge mistake now for that growth that I want to see. So go ahead.
We teach a strategy called the marketing equation when we're working with customers and helping them to develop their advertising. And the marketing equation is 4 things: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. And I'll just quickly define those. The interrupt is how you take that prospect who's looking at your website or whatever marketing channel you're using, how you interrupt them and snap them out of the alpha state that most of us live our day in, and bring them into a beta state where they're focused on what you're saying. And that's the headline of your ad. That's the subject line of your email. It's something that catches people and says, hey, maybe I should continue to look at this. The engage step is just 1 or 2 sentences where you tell that prospect that, hey, if you continue to interact with my material, you're going to get some value out of this. Again, we've said nothing about how great we are. We're just focused on the customer. And then the educate is 2 or 3 or 4 bullet points that are very specifically worded to speak to that conversation that's in the mind of your prospect who might be thinking about your product or service. And then the offer is some low tension way for them to take the next step in their decision-making process. We have to remember that unless we're selling a simple commodity that people just buy on price, if we're selling anything that really has value as a product or service, people normally take a little bit of time to make a decision. And what our advertising should be doing is helping them along that decision-making process. Some people call it the buyer's journey, helping them get through that and developing a relationship with them through your advertising so that when the time comes that they're ready to make a buying decision, your company is considered as one of the places they're going to go for really considering whether you're going to be the best vendor for them.
Love it. Love it. Break down the low tension. You spoke low tension. I think this is huge for people to understand. It's the we just met and will you marry me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly right. And oftentimes our advertising is like that. But, well, let me give you an example. Somebody's looking to buy a used car. Well, they're looking online. Their newspapers are still a great place that people, that car dealers advertise. But instead of looking at all these ads and pictures of cars and here's the price and come see us today and we've got great financing, you run across an ad that says, hey, here are 5 tricks that used car dealers use to take your money. Well, if I'm looking at a used car, that's definitely an interrupt. And then as I read through that ad, the site offers me, hey, we've got 16 more things to be aware of as you're looking for a car. Click here and we'll send you a list. You give them your email address. Okay, that's the next low tension step, because obviously you have somebody who's in the market for a car, but instead of blasting them with, hey, come buy my car off my lot because we're the best, you're giving them information that's going to be valuable to them during their decision-making process. And I mean, that's just a crude, quick example, but all of us in our businesses have the ability to offer stair steps that help somebody as they're moving towards making a decision.
Yeah, and that is a great interrupt, right? You talk about interrupt being one of your steps because everybody else's ad looks the exact same.
Exactly.
You got this thing standing out like, no, there's not even a picture on the car here. Man, let me tell you what all of these people around this ad is about to do to you to get your money.
Yeah.
And now you get
and you just made a really insightful statement, Cortez. Your ad looks like everybody else's. Here's another exercise we do with clients. Assuming you have a website that's in place, what we ask our clients to do is go take a screenshot of the above the fold part of your homepage, you know, the part that somebody sees when they first log onto your page. Take a screenshot of that and print it out. Then do the same thing with 4 or 5 of your competitors' websites and lay them out on your desk or your dining room table or wherever you're working. If the only difference between those is the name of the company and the phone number, then you've lost the marketing battle already, because what that says to a prospect is everybody that sells what you sell is the same. Well, if everybody's the same, what am I looking for? The cheapest. And that race to the bottom is not where you want to be as a business owner. So if your website and all of your marketing convey that value proposition early on, and you do things to develop the relationship with that prospect as they're doing their search, when the time comes for them to make a decision, they're not as concerned about price because you've already provided value to them.
Love it, love it, love it. You just made me think of a quote, and I want to get your thoughts on this from Myron Golden. Floored me when I heard him. He was on the Social Proof podcast not long ago, and he said that's along those same lines, the race to the bottom, right? When you're competing on price, he said, if you are the best, nobody expects you to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
And if you are the cheapest, nobody
expects you to be the best.
That you could be the best.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. But our job as business owners is to establish in the mind of our prospect that we are the best. We are deserving of a premium price. We are deserving of their business. And the only way we do that is by addressing the conversation in the mind of that prospect as they consider our product or service.
Yeah, and he has another thing that he does too. That, and I don't know if he originated this quote, but it's along the lines of what you are proposing that we do. And the best way to prove to someone that you can help them is by actually helping them.
Yeah,
It's giving them some value
that's right.
that's going to help them before you even make an ask yourself. So is that a fair assessment of what you're trying to get your client to do in the marketing? Go ahead and help some people first and
Yeah.
build that relationship.
Absolutely. Give away some of your best stuff, because subconsciously what happens in the mind of your prospect is they go, whoa, if this guy is giving me this much for free, what am I going to get when I start paying him?
Yeah, that's huge. And I love that. I've often been accused of giving up too much game for free, Gordon.
Yeah.
Like, that's why people like to work with me, because
Yeah.
of that same premises. And you also create a guilt complex too.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel guilty that I'm not gonna shop with Cortez Hustle when he's been pouring into me for the last 6 months on this podcast. So if I'm gonna hire anybody in the digital marketing space, I feel guilty if I don't at least give him a shot, right?
Yeah. It's the law of reciprocity.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So we've got the strategic marketing plan. We got the what you say, the how you say it, and who you say it to versus the tactical. Then we know that in our marketing, we should be thinking about interrupting, engaging, educating before we make an offer.
Yep.
Right? What else can we do as newbie entrepreneurs, especially in the digital age, right? We talked a little bit about this, knowing where your people are. And I like to think about knowing where they are on their journey, but also knowing where they hang out in terms of, is your client avatar on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they, because you're in the B2B space, more on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
How do you help your clients define where these people are once they identify them?
I think that's actually a relatively easy task once you've identified who your ideal customer is. We like to refer to it as a defined versus a non-defined market. A defined market is where you can easily get a list of all of the prospects, and that's much easier in B2B sales than it is B2C.
Mm-hmm.
A non-defined market is where you either can't get a list or the list is so big you can't afford to market to them. So, some examples. A non-defined market would be, say, an eye doctor or a chiropractor. The chiropractor doesn't know who wakes up on Saturday morning and says, gee, I've got some back pain. I probably ought to go see a chiropractor. So their ad spend has to be focused on generating leads. But if you have a defined market, your ad spend can be focused on specifically those people that you know are likely prospects for your product or service. So the ROI on your advertising is going to be a lot better. You're probably going to spend less money because you don't have to go out and advertise to the general populace for leads. So trying to identify a very specific market, and this goes along with our earlier conversation about the customer avatar.
Yeah.
Once you know what your avatar is, it's relatively easy to find out where they get their information. And oftentimes when we start with a client, we'll go interview 4 or 5 or 10 of their customers and learn more about how that customer found the client. And a business owner can do the same thing. In fact, you should be. I mean, you don't have to do this, formal meeting where everybody sits down you don't have to do a focus group, something like that, but just in conversation, with your clients. Hey, how did you happen to find us? What was it that led you to do business with us versus the other options that are out there? And learn from them, and then take that knowledge, and that helps you craft your marketing message even more precisely as you move forward.
I love that, really, because it also goes back to showing your customers that you care.
Yes.
Like, I want to know where you came from. How did you find me? I want to get to know you.
How can I better serve you?
Yeah, I love that. Well, Gordon, this hour has flown by, brother, and we're at the 10-minute mark. So we do a segment on the Cortez Hustle Show called Freestyle, because I know you got bars, man. You know a little bit about improvisation. You got to, right? No, that's not what freestyle is all about. Freestyle is about me as I build this media empire that will one day rival Ted Turner and Walt Disney. I don't always ask the right questions, and the conversation doesn't always evolve to where we might want it to go. So this is your opportunity to either A, reiterate something that you feel is very important that we've already discussed, or B, give them something that we hadn't gotten to talk to just yet, and we may not in the next 10 minutes. So this is Freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Gordon Van Wechel version. Hit them with the best stuff.
Well, let's talk about whether a young business even needs an agency. Why should you spend money hiring an ad agency or a digital marketing agency or get help in that? And, it sounds self-serving, and you would probably answer the same way, Cortez. But yeah, I do believe that even a young company needs the help of an agency. And here's why. If you started your business 15 or 20 years ago, marketing was really easy. You'd get an ad in the yellow pages. You might put something on a bus bench. You might send postcards to the neighborhoods around your place of business. But, Google was a brand new concept. We didn't really know much about the internet. YouTube hadn't been invented. Social media, no one knew what it was. So we've gone from a half a dozen or 10 marketing channels to 70 or 80, any one or more of which can be effective for your business. It's impossible for a business owner to keep track of all of that and still run their business. Just Google Ads, Google AdWords has become so complex that it's nearly impossible for a business owner to be effective developing their own ad groups and managing that campaign without and get a good ROI, because they're going to spend a lot of money incorrectly on that platform. So for that reason, I think a startup business should consider bringing an agency in. And as we talked at the top of the show, that doesn't have to be a huge expenditure every month. We frequently start with one service and help our clients grow from there. The other question that I'm frequently asked, really pretty much every time I speak to a live group, is how much should I spend on advertising? Or I read somewhere that I should spend 10% of my revenue on advertising. Is that right? And my answer is always the same. Well, it might be, but it might not be. Most gurus that are out there will say you need to be spending between 4 and 10% of your revenue on marketing, and 2/3 of that to digital, 1/3 to traditional. Again, that may or may not be true. What I like to do with our clients is help them understand two really important key metrics about their business. One is their transaction value, and two is the lifetime value of their customer. So let me define those. Transaction value is what does the average person spend with you when they buy? If you have 10 customers and they each spend $1,000, then your average transaction value is $1,000 or $100 or whatever it is. Unfortunately, it's not that simple because most of us have multiple products across several different pricing tiers. So what we try to help our customers do is identify those tiers. Let's say you've got products in the 100 to 250 range, another group of products in the 400 to 600, and then a few things at 1,000. Well, you want to know what the average transaction value is within each of those tiers, because that's a much more accurate way to assess your business. The second part of that equation is what's the lifetime value of a customer? That is, how frequently does someone buy from you and how long do they stay with you? So let me give you a simple example. Let's say your average transaction value is $100 and people work with you once a month. They come in and buy, and your lifetime value of that customer is 3 years. So your transaction value is 100 times 12 months in a year. That's 1,200 times 3 years. $3,600 is the lifetime value of your customer. How much are you willing to spend on advertising to get that $3,600 customer? Yeah. So what we need to be thinking about is not that initial transaction, that $100, but the average lifetime value of a customer. And people say, well, Gordon, not every customer is going to stay with me for 3 years. That's true. Some might stay a year, some might stay 5. But what we're looking at is what is your average, because that helps you determine what you can afford to spend on a customer. I'll give you a good example. Dentists. We all get postcards in the mail every month from a dental practice that's willing to give us a $27 cleaning and x-ray for new customers, new patients. Well, we know they can't do that for $27, but what they're hoping is they have a good experience with the receptionist when they enter our practice. The hygienist treats them well. The doctor is personable when he comes in to say hello, and that you'll come back. Here's the rule, and this is true in every business niche, whether you're selling a product or a service. The company that can afford to spend the most to acquire a new customer will win the battle every time. So what I encourage younger business owners or startups to think about is not how much can I spend to get that $100 transaction, but how much can I spend to engage in a relationship with that customer that's going to go long-term as long as I serve them well. And that helps me define my advertising budget. And I think that's a much more accurate way than saying, well, we're going to spend 6% next year on advertising.
I love it. I love it. So at the end of the day, know your numbers, people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got to know, because you can't do any of what Gordon just said if you do not know your numbers. If you don't know what that lifetime value of the customer is, if you don't know that that initial transaction cost, if you don't know those things, if you're not tracking those things, then you're going to be as a good senior in my life from years ago. We called him Pop, right? He would say, "You're just throwing money up a bird's butt."
Yep.
You don't know your numbers. Gordon, this is
that's right. Amazing. Hey, I got one more thing I want to say. I know we're almost out of time. My most recent book is Core 5 Marketing, and it's a summary of what we think are the 5 most important marketing channels, marketing strategies that a business, whether they're brand new or they've been around for 20 years, need to be aware of and try to incorporate. And I want to make an offer to your listeners to give them a free copy of the book. It's a free digital copy. It'll save you $13 from going to Amazon. Mm-hmm. But if somebody would type in core5marketing.com, and that's core with 5, the numeral 5, core5marketing.com, and I'll send this to you, Cortez, so you can put it in the notes. core5marketing.com. It'll take you to a page that describes the book. And if you want to get a free copy, just put in your name and email address. We'll send you a link and you can download a PDF version of the book and use it in your business.
Love it. Love it. Core5marketing.com. I'm going to put that link in the comments and in the show notes as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been listening to and learning from Gordon Van Wechel, small business, strategic planning and growth strategist extraordinaire. Ladies and gentlemen, until we talk to you next time, we want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.